Welcome to the Little Brain Campaign. I'm Dr. Lauren LaRose, a child and adolescent psychiatrist.
And I'm Jessica Eisenstadt, a licensed professional counselor.
We're here to be straight with you about children's mental health.
And we're not afraid to challenge the trends that are out there about anything related to kids.
And we're not afraid to challenge each other either.
If you're looking to be validated from two moms that are in the trenches, you're in the right spot.
Yep, no fluff here. Just some honest conversation with a side of sarcasm.
Let's get into it. Hello, Big Brains. Thanks for joining us here on the Little Brain Campaign podcast. We're your hosts, Jessica
and Lauren.
And today we're going to dive into, the ins and outs of social media and the impacts it has on kids.
Yep, and screen time and portable electronic devices also.
All the tech things. Okay. So Lauren is like she know more than me, is what I'm saying. So we'll all go be learning today. So Lauren, where do I want to start? How does social media impact like the adolescent brain as it relates to like human interaction?
Okay. So we as humans have evolved to interact in person. Okay.
Right.
There's so much about in-person interactions that is very different about from interacting via a device. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when you interact over a device, you lose a lot of what we call nonverbal communication.
Right.
So body language, facial expressions, where you are in space compared to each other, et cetera, many other things. Okay. Mm-hmm. And the problem is that when you lose that, you're losing a huge part of communication, okay, of interpersonal communication. And that negatively affects your ability to relate to people, okay, and to communicate with people. Mm-hmm. So it seems like on paper, maybe not that big of a deal. But then the problem is that if you, extrapolate that out over an entire childhood, then basically you're raising humans who don't know how to communicate with humans, which is really scary and has a lot of consequences.
Yeah.
And so, these kids who don't know how to communicate effectively with other people, and with peers, their communication with peers and their relationships with peers are the most important thing in the adolescent years. So that's really the most
what
important,
drives them.
Yes, that is the most important part of development, that contributes a lot to their identity and their sense of self. Okay, so when you damage that ability to interact with peers, then you're creating these kids who don't know how to have fulfilling relationships. They have increasing rates of loneliness.
They also don't even know what is a fulfilling relationship.
Right. Yeah, right. So this is part of why we see these like rising rates of loneliness, rising rates of depression, anxiety. Social anxiety is a big one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That like the more kids interact via a device, the less they interact in person, the more socially anxious they are.
Yeah.
And that's very intuitive. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And as you're talking, it's like I feel like this is my like phrase, like I've like coined it at this point. If you always have a barrier between you and somebody else, like a phone or a laptop or an iPad, whatever, you never know how to feel uncomfortable or anxious naturally, like when you're meeting someone new or interacting with like a crush or something like that, or not spouse, partner, like if you always have something there, then you don't get to feel that anxiety, and then you don't learn how to deal with it. And so then you go into the world and you're like, I don't even know how to do the world.
And the other part of it is that, okay, so, people can say much harsher, crueler things via a device than they can in person. And the problem with that is that not only is that leading to more bullying, like rates of bullying have like significantly increased, okay, via devices cyberbullying, okay. Not only that, but like you lose the ability to have an effective argument with a person, to like have like a respectful dialogue and disagreement, right? Because you're just like shooting like slingers at them.
Slingers,
lots of slingers.
Never heard of them.
I don't know. I made
That's
that up.
great. I like
And so, you know,
Yeah, it's easier to be big and bad when you have a phone, when you're doing it through a fucking phone.
right, right. And so then you think about like, how does that like grow out into adulthood? Like all these people who can't have like effective critical debates and like negotiate, like man, how does that
Compromise.
factor into politics and
Perspective taking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're not talking about
Yeah,
any
we don't have to
politics
go. Yeah,
today,
we
no.
don't have to go. That's like a
No,
bigger can of worms.
No.
Okay, so I would say like one of my biggest things that I worry about in terms of social media, smartphones, devices, all the things, okay, is that parents, I don't think parents understand that no one is going to come in and like change these rules and make the devices safer or, you know, make them less problematic for their kids except for them.
Yeah.
Like, it's on them, you know?
Yeah.
I think parents like give in to these like social pressures to give their kids a phone younger. And like, they're all kind of like waiting, like, you know, what's the policy change going to be? Or what are the pediatricians going to say? And it's like, no, this is on you, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, this is like all adults who interact with children. You are expecting too much from your children.
Okay, let's do that. All right.
Okay.
So I cannot stand, it makes my blood boil. All this talk about like teaching your kid to use their phone responsibly. It's like, what? What are y'all talking about? Who would give
What does
a
that
kid?
mean? What do you mean?
Okay, so there's like all this focus on like, you know, technology's here forever. We got to teach kids how to use it responsibly. It's like, are you joking? Alcohol's here forever and so is heroin. Are you going to say, let's give our kids heroin and let's teach them how to use it responsibly? No. What? No. It's so inappropriate. It is so developmentally inappropriate to expect kids to monitor their use of a device. That is literally the most addictive thing out there. So they have done research studies.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. They have done research studies where they've actually done what's called an fMRI. So it's like a functional MRI, an image of the brain that while they're in this imaging, they're like doing some kind of task. Okay. So it's actually assessing the brain's functioning. All right. So they do these experiments with kids and teens, I think it was mostly teens, where they're, you know, doing the fMRI and they're looking at images of a cigarette, a vape, alcohol, and their smartphone. Okay.
Yeah.
And then they're like exposing them to like the ding sound of the smartphone. Yeah. And they have shown that like the little centers in the brain that light up with reward, okay, which is all involved in addiction.
Yep.
Are going off far faster when they're exposed to some kind of image about their smartphone than for any of the other substances. So this is like the most addictive thing we have ever created or been exposed to. And we're giving it to younger and younger kids.
Yeah.
It's insane. It is insane. Okay. And so like literally what it's doing is it's
rewiring the brain.
Rewiring their brains. Yeah. Okay. What people don't understand is that kids, you know, we all know that like the brain is not fully developed until mid-20s.
Yeah.
Mid-20s. Okay. So for girls, it's about, you know, 22 to 24. Boys, it's a little bit later, 24, 25, something like that. Don't quote me on this. It's something around there. Okay. The part of the brain that develops last is the frontal lobe. Okay. That is the part of the brain that's responsible for impulse control, emotional regulation, time management, future planning, all of these things. Okay.
Is that executive
functioning?
Okay.
All right. So if your brain is not capable of doing those things or not capable of doing them effectively, you cannot manage your time on a smartphone. You cannot resist the impulse to use your smartphone. Okay. You cannot regulate your emotions when you see someone bullying you on social media. Okay. So we're like expecting these kids who biologically do not have the capacity to manage it. Yeah. And it makes no sense whatsoever. The other part of it that's scary is that the smartphone, which is so highly addictive and has been, every little thing on that phone has been designed to draw you in. Every little ding, every swipe, everything has been designed to lock you in. And so we're exposing it to kids who do not have a fully developed frontal lobe. So their brain is literally being wired to get addicted to the phone, and then they're locked in for life. lifetime user right there. And so people don't understand, like, you and me using a smartphone, we can get addicted too.
Oh, yeah.
But it is completely different
Yeah.
than giving it to a kid.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Yeah. So brain's done.
It is affecting, it's literally affecting their development of executive functioning, their ability to develop, you know, or their development of the ability to focus, manage time, you know, ignore distractions, all of those things. So it's like, you know, I've had a lot of parents ask me, like, does it cause ADHD? And it's like, no, ADHD is a whole constellation of symptoms that has like a biological basis, but it's causing a lot of the symptoms of ADHD for sure.
Or it's like inflaming them. Like, you know what I mean?
Exacerbating.
Thank you.
Exacerbating them.
Inflaming.
Yes. Yes.
And like, okay, so here's my other little, like, I have a couple things. So smartphone, and like this is for like all of us.
Yeah.
We always need to be constantly entertained. So kids don't know how to be bored.
Yep.
And when I was, you know, I mean, I wasn't that long ago, but like when I was a kid, it was like, oh, I got to figure out what to do. I'm bored, so I'm gonna go put on like rollerblades and like my poor dog, like hook the leash up and like make my dog like pull me with the rod, and or like go like screw around, like, you know, pull pranks on kids and stuff like that in the neighborhood. And now it's like I am just gonna watch TV, play on my iPad, social media, whatever. And so now they don't know how to be bored. And so when they're faced with like reality and you can't watch TV or play on a smartphone or whatever, they have really big emotions and get really dysregulated because they don't have any experience with that feeling of being bored.
Well, and like boredom is extremely important.
Yeah.
Like boredom is the
Problem solving.
Yeah, it's where problem solving comes from. Creativity. Creativity is born out of boredom. Ingenuity,
Yes.
all the things.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
People would never have invented things if they hadn't gotten bored and like started thinking, you know?
Right.
So it's like we've stripped away kids' ability to be bored, which means we have stripped away their ability to develop interests, be creative, think critically, you know, daydream, all these things that, you know, I think a lot of people trivialize it, and it's like, no, this is actually really important.
Like, okay, so with the kids, with any kid, like, okay, I want to draw, we're going to draw a dragon. Oh, that's your idea. You have a plan. Yeah, pull up a dragon on your phone. I need to see what it looks like. And here, a dragon can look however you want it to look. No, I need to see the dragon so I can draw the dragon. Ugh, you think everything needs to look just like you see it on a phone, on the whatever. No, I need to see it. So then, whatever, we get to the point, they're drawing a dragon. It doesn't look exactly like the image in their head that they saw on the TV or the whatever. Crumple it up, throw it away. Ugh, that's terrible. Ugh, you really feel like annoyed, disappointed in yourself when you don't meet a standard that you think is important.
It's instant gratification.
Yeah.
People need a lot of instant gratification.
Yeah.
And now
but then that turns into like this perfectionism anxiety,
Yeah.
right? Like when you're faced, when something, if you're always like, if there's always a comparison to things like that, you know, or what am I trying to say? Like when I only create when I have the thing I want to create
like
in
the
front
template.
of me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, and like adults do it too. Like I did the other day. I was like drawing with Monroe, one of my kids. And Minnie, my automatic, I didn't pull my phone up, but I went and grabbed a figurine.
Yeah.
I went and grabbed a figurine because I was like, I don't even know. Like I kind of know, but I surely, when I was like 10, didn't do any of that. Didn't need to.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So I had a patient yesterday who, and this is like, I can't tell you how many conversations I have all day long, every day about the dang smartphone and the stupid social media. So I had this patient who, you know, has had trouble sleeping for years. Okay. And, we've tried a lot of different things and nothing has really worked. And so then he says, part of the problem might be my phone, which I've mentioned before, but he's been, resistant, reluctant to go into that until we've tried everything else. And I'm like, okay, I have my little window here. Here we go. Let's talk about it. And he's like, I realized the other day I use my phone for 9 hours a day. I was like,
9 hours?
9 hours a day. I'm like,
wake to sleep.
Yeah, 9 hours a day. And when I started to talk about like, okay, here's the things you can do. And I prefaced with, I told him, I was like, look, when I have these conversations with people, the majority of people will look at me and laugh. And they'll be like, I'm not doing that. It's like, okay, well then don't ask me for my advice. Because here's my advice. Okay, you want my advice? All right. Advice number one, if you're really serious about it, get rid of your smartphone. If you really think it's a problem. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I just don't have a phone. I'm like, no, there are other phones out there that are not smartphones. FYI.
They
I know
still
that
have
you
a
were
flip
not
phone?
alive at the time that they came out. Yes, they still have flip
Or
phones.
like the brick.
Yeah. Okay, so I was like, that's advice number one. You're probably not going to take that advice. Okay, so here's advice number two. Delete the social media apps. And it's like, oh my God. Like, you know, I might like spontaneously implode. Like, yeah, you can do that. You can do that. You will live. And he's like, but like, then I won't have social media. No, you can still have an account. You just can't access it on your phone. Turn it to grayscale. All these things that I'm like, these are not that hard to do.
Right.
The hard part is like getting your mind around it and saying like, I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to do it. I told him, I was like, there is like a diagnosed withdrawal from social media. Like it has been documented in research, which is crazy. Like people get super anxious and irritable
because they're bored.
FOMO. Yeah. Lots of FOMO. Even though we've proven that FOMO is actually far worse for the people that use social media the most. Anyway.
What?
So
Wait,
yes,
what?
Rates of FOMO.
I know, but go in. Like, what do you mean?
Okay, so one of the main reasons that people say that they won't give up social media is FOMO, fear of missing out. Okay, they're afraid they're gonna miss something that happens on social media. However, the research has proven that the rates of FOMO are far higher for the people who use social media the worst.
Yeah,
so it makes FOMO worse, but everyone's afraid to give it up because of FOMO. Anyway, so I told him like, this is the whole, here's the withdrawal. You need to prepare for it. The problem is very few people will push past the withdrawal to the other side. When they do, every single patient I have had that has done that has told me they feel significantly better after.
Yeah.
And I was like, you have to push through it because you will feel worse.
It's called urge surfing.
It's called urge
surf. And I didn't like, that's an actual skill. I used it when I worked with substance abuse. And it's like, you got to ride the wave. It's not going to, like, oh, I'm going to, what am I missing? But what about my DMs or whatever? That like, urge, anxiety, whatever, it ain't gonna last forever. You just gotta ride it, and then it's gonna go back, and then it's gonna come in, then it's gonna go back, and the longer you sit with it, the less waves.
Yeah, and it's like what I told him is like, I can't promise you that doing this is going to make you sleep better, but I can promise you that if you don't do it, I have no chance of helping you.
Yeah, boundary.
Yeah.
I mean,
like, help yourself.
Help yourself, my friend. This is another thing. I just can't like wrap my head around, like understand why schools why are the phones in backpacks? Like why are they in lockers? Why take have a bucket?
Okay, so I'm going to do my little research thing again. Okay. So there was this really interesting study that tested kids' ability to focus on some kind of task, whether the phone was on the table, on the desk next to them, in their backpack, at the door of the classroom, or if it was like in a completely different area of the school. And it was like unbelievable, their difference. Like, even if it's at the door in the backpack where they can't see it, they still have a significantly harder time focusing. Okay, so now there are schools that are starting to make like a system, like where you come in, you walk in the door, they have like these envelopes at the door where they like put everyone's phone in, and they're not allowed to have them from 8 to 3. And some of these schools have like signed up to be part of like a research study, just like they've tracked them over a year. What are the rates of bullying, depression, anxiety, learning, all those kind of things. Like, it was amazing. I think they said like bullying went down by like 40%. Anxiety and depression rates significantly dropped. Learning improved, grades improved, behavior improved, all the things. It's like the data is like, it's like kind of slapping us in the face. It's like, wake the fuck up, everybody. Like why? And like, why do they need a phone at school? Okay, you know what's so funny? So they interviewed a lot of parents about like why, parents who would like push back and say like, no, I don't want my kid's phone taken away at school. Okay. They would like ask them all the reasons why.
Yeah.
And it was like, so I can get in touch with them.
So stupid.
I'm like, okay, wait. So when you went to school in 1990, whatever,
right,
you didn't have a phone. And guess what? Here you are. You're alive. Congratulations. Because your parents could call the school and ask
and
for
that's
you.
That's the process.
And a lot of them will say like, but what if there's like an active shooter or something? It's like
they're not going to have their let me go grab my phone. Like, what
exactly.
do you mean?
How is that going to protect your kids so they can call you and say there's an active shooter here?
Right.
Okay. And I don't want to trivialize that.
No,
okay.
right.
But also it's like, so you're going to like, you're going to take all of these risks of like worsening your kids' learning, depression, anxiety, making bullying more frequent, just in case there's an active shooter in the school. Just in case.
And so what that's called, risk, God, what is that called? It's like intensity or like, God, what's the
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
like level of risk versus,
you know
what
like
I'm trying
perceived
to say?
risk.
I guess.
Perceived risk versus actual risk.
I guess. I don't know.
Sure, I don't
Whatever.
know. I don't understand about risk.
Whatever. Anyways. I mean, and then you slap in like a diagnosis of autism or a diagnosis of OC. I don't know, anything in their neurodivergent cluster where like perceptions are already skewed, right?
Yeah.
Like communication is already like hard, like difficult, right? Like
area of challenge.
Yeah, like it's area of challenge, whether it's tone, words, reading any of that stuff. And then you add a device into that, and it's just like it just exacerbates an issue that is already there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Okay, so something I want to talk about that because there's a lot of focus on social media. We're becoming more aware about the dangers of social media, but I think a lot of parents forget that it's not just social media; it's portable electronic devices that are a big problem.
Like iPad? Okay.
Yeah. So like the phone is like the most obvious thing people think about, but they forget about the iPad or the Kindle. Okay. And we're giving these little kids iPads and Kindles and tablets or whatever they're called. And that's like, I think parents forget that like that's the precursor to the smartphone. Like you're training them very young to know how to use this technology and to be affected by this technology. So like, how are you going to set boundaries when it's time to get a smartphone? Like if you're already giving them free reign of this device that's all theirs, they can do whatever they want on it, use it however much they want, when they want, where they want. Like there's no way you're going to be able to put boundaries around a phone.
Okay, listen. Also, and I'll get pushback, whatever. Like you go to a restaurant and you have the iPad.
Yeah.
Because it's words are hard today. It's annoying for the parent to have to deal with the kid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's a babysitter.
Which is like, I get it. Like when I need to clean or some shit at my house, like we're putting Bluey on. Anyways, but that's a whole different screen. Anyways, so when you're at the restaurant and you bring the iPad so the kid has something to do, it's that boredom thing. Okay, now I got to figure out how to be more comfortable in this kind of like unpredictable, uncomfortable environment because it doesn't have the usual things I have around me to entertain myself. You can get a crayon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like most restaurants have things like that. Also, like you figure it out.
Yeah.
You need to get up and walk around. Got to get up from the table. Let's walk around. You know what I mean? It's called raising kids. It's just
and it's hard.
It's so hard.
And it's uncomfortable and it's awkward when like your kid's freaking out at the table or being rude or poor manners. I'm like I have 3 kids. I get it. And they're very close in age and they're very young. So I get it. But it's the thing. Okay. So there's this author that like coined this term. I don't know if he coined it, but he uses it a lot. The opportunity cost that like when you have to realize whenever you give your kid a portable electronic device, that is an opportunity they are losing to do something else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like sucking away time to learn about
Anything.
Whatever. Anything.
Yep. To make a choice about what to eat.
Right.
To talk to mom at the table. Or
Right.
like, whatever. It's just it's lost.
So
opportunity.
okay, so the thing that like parents have to realize is that, because I do these talks at schools, and it's funny, I always get, there's like certain questions that like every group asks, okay, every school asks. They'll say like, well, what about TV? And it's like, we have so much research now showing like how TV is so vastly different than an iPad.
Yeah.
So different.
I mean, look, I've become more structured with the TV because my kids are getting older. They're 2 and 4, but I can start using it as like an earning. So this is like this is my parenting
privilege.
Yeah. Like you better be grateful you got a TV. Some people don't fucking have a TV.
Yeah.
You don't just automatically get to watch TV. You want TV? Cool. When, like, let's say my kids aren't doing it yet, but they will. Like, let's say they start talking back all the time. Cool. Every time you like use a kind word or talk back and then replace it with a kind word or whatever, every time you do whatever the, replacement goal is, you earn a minute. So by the end of the day, if you do it 30 times, you get 30 minutes. If you choose to talk back, then you choose not to earn a minute. I don't care. I would choose for you to earn the minute. If you choose to be respectful, then you choose to earn a minute.
Right. And so the difference between one of the big differences between like TV and a portable electronic device. Okay. So like TV, when you watch TV, that is like a social experience.
Yeah.
Okay. So like you're sitting with your siblings, y'all all have to agree on what to watch.
Yeah.
Okay. You're watching it together.
Yeah.
You can talk about what you watch. All right. A portable electronic device is a very like selfish thing, because it's like exactly what you want when you want. You can click as many times as you want. You can speed through those YouTube videos as fast as you want because they're not entertaining you. You can't do that with the TV. Okay. So,
well, I mean, so here's another, okay. So this is what I've figured out, because I just really don't want my kids to grow up being like little assholes. I mean, they may, but like whatever I can do,
Yeah.
So when Rhodes, my 4-year-old, is saying like, I want to watch Paw Patrol. I'm like, okay. And my automatic reaction is to go to the Paramount Plus app and like find Paw Patrol. There are no commercials in it. I'm just like automatically doing that because that's what I do for myself.
Yeah.
What I've started doing is whatever's on TV within the kids section, that's what you're watching, and you're gonna have to deal with a fucking commercial.
Yep.
Because that's like you don't get, like, life is not with no commercials.
No, you need to wait.
You need to wait.
Yeah.
You need to wait.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
and just like there's so many little things that are so different. Like if you think about it, so I didn't have cable growing up. Okay.
Oh my God, you didn't?
No, I did not have cable growing up. So
wait, does that mean you had like channel 3, 4, 5, or just not a TV?
No, we had a TV, but it was like PBS and CBS and NBC. Like that's what we had.
God, was it 1950?
I like hated my parents at the time, and now I like so appreciate what they did.
Yeah.
And I don't know if
So
it
that
was
was
even like a
purposeful?
conscious thing. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Or if they just
You
like,
never
didn't want to
asked
pay
them?
for cable. I don't know. No, I haven't asked them. I will. But anyway, so like, there were only certain hours of the day where there was TV programs for a kid.
Yeah.
Like it was like Saturday morning for 1 hour, and then the rest of the time, like it was just whatever, I don't know, cooking shows. So like I watched a lot of cooking shows. I'm a terrible cook, unfortunately, but I did watch a lot of cooking shows.
Well,
like they were entertaining. But so like now kids can watch whatever they want whenever they want. Whenever they want.
Whenever.
So it goes back to instant gratification that like you don't have to wait until next Saturday for the next episode.
Yeah.
And remember what happened and like follow along.
Yes.
You just watch.
You don't have to
15 episodes in
retain
a row.
anything. I don't have to retain not a damn, because I can rewatch it. I can rewind it. I can whatever. And so then that like impacts school.
Yep.
Because if you aren't learning or if you're not provided opportunities to learn how to focus and retain and reproduce information, then why you think they're going to do it at the school?
Right.
Anyways.
Right. Well, and like if you destroyed their ability to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, I think, so when it comes to like TV time.
Yeah.
I feel like you said something about the way things, like this was a while ago. You said something about the way things are filmed now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, compared
Animation.
to, yeah.
Yes.
Compared to like 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Yep.
Talk about that.
Okay. So if you watch Snow White, like the original Snow White
or like
from like
Peter Pan.
40 whatever,
Yeah.
60 whatever. I don't know the date. Or Peter Pan. Okay, the really really old Disney cartoon movies.
Yeah.
Okay. You can tell like how slow their frame speed is. Okay. Like the movements
Yeah.
are very slow and they're not like fluid. Okay.
Yeah.
Versus
Like
now,
your head moves.
right?
Like your head is moving to track and follow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the movements are slower. The noises are softer.
Yep.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's like lower volume overall and like less like fluctuation in volume. And
Like frequency and fluctuation.
yes,
Okay,
yes. And what was the other part I was going to say? The frame speed, the volume.
Like it was like color. Like
Yes, color.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
yes, so it's like more muted colors.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus if you watch like I'm trying to think of like The
Anything.
Incredibles.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a lot of like bang, 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 and like flashing lights everywhere, and like it's computerized, so everything is like super fluid, super fast rate. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to like think about like what does that do to your brain, right? It's not that different from like having a phone and being able to like swipe like really fast, right? So it's like it's hitting those receptors like really, really, really fast. Okay. Versus like an old cartoon movie, it probably wasn't hitting that reward center as fast. Okay, so maybe there was like a little bit less of that reinforcing effect and like drawing you in and wanting you to do more.
Yeah, and like I think about Peter Pan, and I think about because I like try to get like Rhodes and Monroe to watch the classics like that because like I like to watch them and they're great. But anyways, so we're watching Peter Pan, and it's like the I don't know, opening scene or something, and Nana the dog wrecks the tower of blocks, and then the dad is super like frustrated because he has shit all over his shirt or whatever, and then he falls on the thing and like crashes down, and that's when Rhodes left. So it's like you have to wait until something happens, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're not like 100% entertained for the first 5 minutes
Yeah,
of the
it's
movie.
slow.
Yeah, and so you have to wait. Oh, spike. Oh, that was funny. Now I gotta wait until something else, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Slower.
So I have a lot of parents like ask, like, okay, so like, what do you do? Like if you, because like your kids are going to watch stuff unless you don't have a TV at all. Like your kids are going to watch stuff.
Yeah.
So how do you make it like the highest quality possible? I always try to get my kids to watch movies instead of
same.
a show.
God, same.
Because they have to like follow along with a plot. They have to like understand who the characters are, whatever. So there's like more thought process involved.
Same.
Also, shows, the episode length of kids shows are getting shorter.
8 minutes.
Shorter.
Rose
right?
loves those. I'm like, we're not doing it.
No.
And like Rick, throwing you under the bus. That's my husband. Great dad. He's a great dad. Love him. Great husband. And like, it's great. I don't want to get in a fight about it. Beep bop. And so it's like the movie Cars has these like little 5-minute like episode things. And there's like 8 of them. And it's just like constant anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So movies, if parents at all can limit or just get rid of YouTube is
sick.
it's
It's freaking weird.
And it's
like fucking weird.
And it doesn't matter how many controls you put on it or it's kids YouTube
Doesn't
or
matter.
whatever. Like at some
Not allowed.
point, they're going to get exposed to like all kinds
Weird
of shit that
shit.
you have no idea they're being exposed
Weird
to.
shit.
Crazy shit.
Yeah.
So that's part of it is like what they can be exposed to. The other part is that like that is the YouTube is the king of I don't like this. I'm a swipe. Shorter videos. And it's like instant gratification, the king of instant gratification,
And you like get into this weird hole. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
the rabbit holes.
Yeah. Anyways.
It's just like social media. You get down that rabbit hole and you like can't get out.
Yeah.
So like getting rid of YouTube, movies instead of shows. I try to tell parents like the portable electronic device really should only be used in like emergent. When I'm talking about little kids, like with a tablet and iPad, like if you can control it, like my kids have them, but they only see them on an airplane.
I was about to say, like
they are hidden away.
Yeah.
They are hidden away somewhere. They don't know where they are. I think my oldest son found it one time and he got in so much trouble because he touched it outside of an airplane. Oh yeah, he got in big trouble. And I was like, I am so serious about this. Like you only get this on an airplane, and if you mess it up, you don't get it on the airplane.
Yeah. How do you find it? Or where? Like,
I don't know.
did he go snooping for it?
Smart. Yeah. But like putting those limitations, because as soon as you give them free reign, you lose complete control.
Not of their behavior. Well, yes, about their behavior.
Yes.
Their emotional and development, like emotional development and just development. Like,
well, and it's like, okay, I always want to reach young parents, because it's so much easier to like set a precedent.
what's a young parent, bitch?
Like a parent who just had a kid.
Oh.
New parents, I should say. New parents. Okay. I always try to reach new parents, because it's so much easier to set a precedent than it is to like
prevent.
take something away.
Yeah.
Like it's way harder once your kid has had full reign of the iPad for 10 years. Like, good luck taking that away. Versus if you start when they're a baby and say like, okay, these are going to be my rules. Like in my house, it's like there's no TV during the week, unless sometimes I make exceptions. Okay. Like yesterday it was raining and I was tired. So I was like, okay, we're going to make an exception. You get to watch a movie.
Yeah.
But you're going to clean the whole playground before you do it.
Yeah.
But like for the most part, no TV during the week. And the reason why I do that is because then when they have homework, I don't have to take it away.
What do you mean?
When they start having homework, which we're already there now, I don't have to then say, okay, we have to do homework. You can't watch TV. Now I'm going to have to take TV away that you've already had during the week whenever you want, right? So if I say like at the gate when you're little, we don't watch TV during the week, I'm already not going to have to have that battle.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, okay, so I'm going to like not push back. This isn't a pushback on the no TV.
Go for it.
But this is such a good example. I want, if the expectation is known that TV is not for weekdays, then when like real homework comes, I'm not going to have to take something away from them, a preferred task, right? I won't have to transition them from a preferred task to an undesired task, okay? But that also is a skill that needs to be learned, right? Like, okay, that I'm just using your example.
Yeah.
That like in your parent head, you're like, okay, this is his favorite show. He's 15 minutes in, dinner's ready. Like, he got to come to dinner, right? This is like this is now going on what I posted yesterday on social media. So you have some strategies that advise you to go up and say, ugh, I know it's going to be really hard to like stop this TV show in the middle of it. Ugh, I wonder if, you can come to dinner, we'll do it really quick, and then after dinner, you can watch TV before bed. Okay, they say no, because first of all, I could go in. Anyway, so they say no. So you're giving too much, like, control. Right? Like, you're not defining an expectation, really. Anyways, too vague. Then it's, no, I don't want to. Okay, so then the next advice or strategy from whatever is to, well, what if I dance and say it? What if I dance and wiggle my body and I say it in a silly way? Would that be more appealing? No. Like, no. Or yes. But like, anyway. So when a kid is watching TV or whatever, and they don't want to leave because it's a preferred task, if you choose to move your body to the dinner table, then you choose to watch 5 minutes, whatever it is, before bath time, right?
Yeah.
If you choose to continue to sit on the couch, then you're choosing to lose TV for the rest of the night.
Right.
Like, point blank.
I think the problem is that like we also have to recognize that the TV or whatever they're watching now is like so much more addictive than it was however many years ago, so it's like kind of like, it's like giving your kid heroin and then saying like, okay, like you need to finish in 5 minutes. And, as opposed to 20 years ago, you were giving them, I don't know, a Coke. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
what?
Because I don't know, that was a terrible analogy, but it's like, what they're watching now is so much more engrossing and addictive. And so I'm
like,
kind
it's
of
hard
like,
to transition.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yes, you need to be the parent and like, you're the
but
parent.
no, but it's not even about that. It's producing an opportunity to like follow a direction, be able to like transition when you don't want to.
Although I still say, I try to get parents to not do TV during the week if they can.
That's fine. Still, that's fine. But like, this is my last little bit.
Okay.
Like, whether it's TV or whatever, but it like as the parent, before beforehand. Like you already have an expectation set.
Yeah.
The expectation is when it's time for dinner, we go to dinner. If you choose to ignore, then you're choosing for me to turn the TV, whatever, right? Like you're setting that structure and expectation to be really predictable and consistent before.
Yeah.
So whether you're watching Bluey or Peter Pan, like it's the same. Like you're expected to move your body to the dinner table no matter, you know what I mean? So
and
it's like
that's the only way to be successful with managing the smartphone.
Yeah, same. It's the same shit.
It's
Yeah.
the same thing. It's like, you go into before the kid gets the
prevent.
smartphone saying,
What do I-
here's the
yeah.
rules.
Yep.
If you fuck up, you lose it. Okay,
Yeah.
like I like had to write out like in my presentation, it's like the phone, like the parent says like, this is my phone
It
that
is.
I bought.
That's my TV.
And I pay
You're
for
confused.
every day.
Correct.
It's my phone. This is not your phone. I'm going to
Little
allow you to
turd.
use it
Yeah.
these times and under these circumstances. If you fuck up
Yeah.
and you mess up
And go find
you
it.
guess
Yeah.
what? You're going to get a smartphone or you're going to get a flip phone for a month. That's what you
I
get.
love it.
And then you can earn that smartphone back.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
too,
bitch.
like there's way too much just like here
Yes,
it is.
it's like not thinking before. It's what is that called? Like just impulsivity. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like I just do. I don't care. I'm not thinking before I do.
Yeah.
And like it's just setting everybody up to fail.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
like there's an issue and you don't address it until it becomes an issue.
Yep.
And that's a problem.
It
Anyways,
is.
thank you so much for joining
Thanks.
us today. Hit subscribe, follow, listen, all the stuff, the Little Brain Campaign. Peace.
Bye.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. Hopefully you know you're not alone and we're all in the trenches together.
We're always here, so reach out and let us know what's driving you nuts. We got you. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the Little Brain Campaign on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
Questions or topics you want us to tackle? Hit us up on all of our socials at the Little Brain Campaign. Keep trucking. You got this. We'll see you next week.
This podcast is for informational purposes only. Remember, no one size fits all. Always consult a professional for personalized advice.